Guys, welcome back to the channel. S here from s&a'sorgnitecreations. If you're new here, like and subscribe. Like anyway. And yeah, that'll help us out. But what this video here is going to be about is orgonite and how it actually works. Okay, I'm going to go over a few points here, but we do make orgonite. This is some of our products here. And you can go ahead and click the link below to our Etsy shop, and there's a lot more available than this, but you can go ahead and see some of the stuff that we do. Go ahead and purchase your orgonite if you choose to. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and run through these products here. This is just an orgonite pendant. Now they will vary in different, well, in price depending on what's going on. For instance, this is just plain black. I'll go over the why it's so black in a sec, but there's nothing on the back. It's just you're straightforward. But will definitely work and protect you. Now, the one I'm actually wearing is a little bit more advanced than that. It's got an MWO antenna on the back as well. So, you know, the pricing will be a little bit different. But go ahead and check the link out. So here we've got an orgonite pyramid. Now, by any structure you can make, the pyramid is being one of the most powerful ones. Now, like I said, this video is going to be about me going into how they work, but the pyramid shape, and specific dimensions of the peak. This pyramid is in the phi ratio or phi ratio, however you want to say it, or a golden ratio found in nature. Okay, so it does act like an antenna. Shapes act like an antenna that pick up this orgone, cosmic energy or scalar waves, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so moving on, we'll just do the mini charge plate here. All right, you can go ahead and use this as a coaster. You can leave it in your fridge. You can put your fruit on it, whatever you want, your pills. You know, if you've got supplements or something like that. It's going to charge up anything like that. So if you put it in your fridge, all your salads, for example, will last longer in your fridge, and they won't get as slimy in the packaging or whatever in the bag, whatever you got them in. So something like this in the fridge, great idea. Not only that, you can just have it by your bedside table. You can put it under your pillow. There's many applications and uses for something like this. And it will help you get into a deeper, restful night's sleep, okay? And like I said, when I go over this, I've got some notes here, so don't mind me looking down in a sec, but I'll be able to get into that and why it actually does that and how they work, okay? This is what this video is mainly about. Because a lot of people lack the knowledge and understanding of what they actually do, how to make it, how to utilize materials to make them strong, okay? And you can make them pretty and strong, which is what we try to do. But they're not going to be as pretty as those fake ones out there, okay? But yeah, so that's the charge plate. We do different sizes. We do much bigger ones, and they will have a much greater, bigger effect. Hence, because there's more orgonite in there. All right. So that's that. And we do offer now orgonite drink bottles, okay, which makes a lot of sense in the world. It's kind of, as one of the purchasers, one of the first people that purchased one of these when we did it, he said it was a no-brainer. It was clearly a no-brainer purchase. You can go ahead and even see the review of that on our Etsy. We've got, on our Etsy store, we've got all 5-star reviews. No one has said anything bad about our stuff at all, okay? So yeah, I don't know if you can see what the inner workings here. It's kind of hard, but maybe you can see what's going on there. I'm not sure if the camera's picking it up. It's got your triskelion copper coil cut a specific length, which picks up the energy or the frequency, vibrates at 144 megahertz, which is very, very beneficial as well. But it's got all the goodies in there. Solid piece of orgonite, okay? That's a very generous amount, because we're going to obviously buy the drink bottles, we make the orgonite, and that there's a generous amount for what these are worth, okay? In Australian dollars, these are going for $89.99. So if you guys in the US, it's less of a deal, less expensive it would seem for you to purchase something like this, all right, due to the fact of the dollar exchange and all the rest of it. But this is very, very important to have orgonite, and the way we've made it proper, and to have your water in here to drink throughout the day. It's going to fully structure your water, okay? Now most will go into why, how these actually work, okay? So like I said, people don't have the knowledge or understanding or have not researched this extensively. I dig right into the research and I don't stop. I have like a thirst. I don't know what it is, but I cannot help. Been doing this for years and I still search. I'm still finding out more stuff. all right, and how to make these products more powerful for you guys. Because we're not interested in making pretty stuff or just jewelry or whatever. We want products that will work, okay? Very, very highly functional. So first thing you need to know is people obviously we use resin, right? People use resin, but they don't understand. They go, oh, you need resin because, you know, it shrinks, blah, 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 and it creates piezoelectricity, okay? But they don't understand not all resins actually shrink or have a very, very low shrink rate. You need one with a higher shrink rate that you know is shrinking. When we make these, no matter what it is, more often than not, they'll actually, if we're not careful, they'll actually shrink and come away from the mold. And if we're doing more than one layer, which for instance in this pyramid there's at least three, I think there's 4 pores in this one, 4 pores to make this, okay? Now, if we get our mixture wrong and create too much heat and it shrinks too much, which can happen, and I can do it very easily, you have big indents, okay? And it'll wreck the whole pyramid, because if this one layer here sort of shrinks in too much, then you pour the next layer, it'll overlap this layer and create it all yucky, and the clear will be black and it'll be completely terrible. It'll be sucked in way too much. If you look at this closely, you will notice, you can't on the camera, it is sucked in somewhat, a little bit. But that is good because the crystals that are in here, we use powdered materials, very crushed up crystals like quartz, piezoelectric, throughout the whole orgonite mix. We add that in there, we blend it, we actually vortex our orgonite matrix. It's really mixed well. But all those tiny, tiny nano crushed up quartz powders are all getting squeezed upon, okay? They act as their own crystal. The secret is the powders, all right? So basically, if you see as well, with the secret is powder, so the powdered materials, the more stronger the effect, okay? But if you can see metals, for instance, you know these contain metals. I'll go on a little bit off topic, but the metals, if you can see the actual metal pieces, you don't want it. Now, what I don't mean like this, like see how there's all these brass little tiny shavings on there, like needle-like things. They're very fine, very small. But we call that our functional glitter. And this is not the main thing. If you see the side, there's none. Like it's not, it's dense full of black. You can see it's dense full of black, you know. And all this, it's all black, you know. So it's not, you see the orgonite out there where they're just completely dense full of aluminium shavings or files or from a drill press or whatever. And the large, like one piece of metal can be like this long sort of thing. It's a spiral from a drill press. That's not what you want, because, all right, going off topic here. What we're gonna do, hang on, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna get back to that, okay? But what we're gonna do, okay, so you need a resin that shrinks, piezoelectric, right? The most people use the epoxy. You've got epoxy, you've got polyester resins. I'm sure there's other resins out there. Natural resins, for instance, like tree resins and stuff like that. So epoxies are resins that shrink the least, all right? Now but you need to find one that really does shrink, okay? The resin we use is one that highly shrinks. So we know we've got that down packed, okay? Now, another thing, as the resin cures, and we know we've got a high shrink rate resin, that is creating the squeeze upon the crystals, okay? Now, the crystals are going to vibrate more highly because of that pressure and they're creating that piezoelectric, okay? Because when they're squished, they've got nothing else to do, but they fully resonate, and they do put out these scalar waves, and more so. That's why you want the resin that shrinks. So, not only that, when it cures and the resin shrinks, you can actually imprint or embed a frequency in the resin. Okay, so now the resin is curing and is picking up the energy off the crystals and embedding it within its matrix, within the resin. So now you've just increased the whole thing. Just the resin is picking up that vibration of all the piezoelectric crystals. Right, so now that's stronger. If you don't have a resin that does this and they're using just epoxy, you're not getting it. or you need epoxy, or you need to be able to make it to force it to shrink. You need to do research on this, all right? So you've got that. Now moving on, okay, quartz is regulating frequencies, okay? So it's going to regulate, it's going to change it, all right? Now, quartz or crystals are oscillators and will take one frequency and convert it into another frequency, okay? So the crystals can take on that energy and modulate it into a healing frequency. So it can take, the oscillators, it can take a bad energy, bad frequency, modulate it, change it into a healing frequency. This is why Reiki people, for instance, can use crystals because they're trying to heal the body, fix the body energetically. The crystals can take energy, like their energy, and they can use the crystals to transfer it and to heal the body through the crystal, okay? But yeah, we had all the crystals in here as well. There's quite a few. Where am I up to? Okay, another thing is crystals, certain crystals like quartz, for instance, they do have monoatomic elements in them, and automatically, by that, them having monoatomics in them, they put out scalar waves themselves, okay? They do act like antennas for the scalar waves, all right? For this cosmic energy that's emanating from the centers of galaxies, or, you know, it's relayed through the suns and the center of the earth, okay? So it's always, this energy is always flowing. It's a fractal, natural energy. Our bodies, everything in nature is like fractaling, like every creation, like a flower, or a bloody insect's antennas, or a tree, how it branches out. Even us, our bodies, from our whole nervous system, that's all like fractaling right out to our fingertips, you know? Yeah, so this is all part of the creation. And what we're doing here is capturing that, creating it, and you're putting out a localized scalar field, okay? And with this stuff next to you, you're basking in this energy, basically, okay? And it brings about health benefits, that's for sure. And transmuting the negative stuff, just by what I've said so far. The crystal's jobs, they will do this, all right? They are oscillators. They will change one energy frequency into another, and it's always going to be into a healing frequency, because this is where the crystals are designed. They come from the earth. It's why they're created, and everything works together. But this man-made stuff that we're bombarded with today is negative to us, okay? And the crystals will transmute it. All right, where am I up to? Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the Casimir effect. So what we're going to be doing is talking about the metals involved in there. So when the metals are suspended within the resin itself. So basically, when we mix it, so many people I've seen, like, they get their metal shavings or whatever they're doing, and they got a mold. Just say they're doing a pyramid, and they'll pour the resin or whatever. Next layer, they'll do their orgonite mix or whatever. So get a heap of the shavings, big chunks of metal, which is what you don't want. You don't want to buy it if you can see that. People use BBs and all sorts of stuff. They might look pretty, but you'll make it's very, very going to be very, very weak at best. You don't want that. You don't want to buy it. You want the most bang for your buck. So what they do, they put all their metals in, their BBs or their shavings, and all that is touching. All right, all that's touching each other, and then they go ahead and pour the resin in. If you're going to do it and you're going to make it, you've at least got to put it all in a container, pour the resin in, and at least mix it. All right, mix it thoroughly, very good, because then the resin coats every piece of metal, and hopefully the resin, the metals aren't actually, when you pour it in, the metals aren't actually touching, and there's a thin layer of resin. It's because they're coated in the resin, and they're somewhat suspended, and microscopically they're not even actually touching, if you know what I mean. That's what you want. This is why we use powdered materials, powdered metals, and all that, and we actually vortex it, right? Because you want to smash all the powders and all the resin together, so every single piece of powder is coated in resin. So now the suspension is somewhat all over the place. So metal, they're not going to touch because there's resin in between. Yeah. Now you're going to create the Casimir effect. So the Casimir effect in physics is the observation of when you've got metal particles that are extremely close to each other, they will actually generate an electric charge, but they also produce scalar waves. So the more powdered materials you have, the more of this activity you're going to produce, okay? So if that's emanating scalar waves, you've got the crystals emanating scalar waves, you've got piezoelectric effect, which enhances that. You've got the resin that's curing, you know, when it's squeezing upon the crystals, emanating more, taking on the vibration of the crystals, of the scalar wave activity from the crystals, you're starting to create something that's quite powerful. That's going to work, all right? All right, shungite. All our products contain shungite. Pretty much all of it. Especially if you see any black, it's got shungite in it. Some products that won't look black still have shungite in it. All right. For instance, recently sold, or a little while ago, I did a big red. It was bigger than this, like a big red pyramid, right? And that's got, because of the red iron oxide. It's not a color. It's actually a metal. It's red iron oxide. But I put the shungite in it because it's so dominant and red, you can't even tell it's in there, but it looks red. All right, so there's things, basically all our products will contain shungite because we realize how powerful it is. Now, shungite itself is a very, very special mineral, crystal, rock, whatever you want to call it. You know, you can research that. Everyone knows that it's only found in one place in the world, that's Karelia, Russia. But it's one mineral that actually emanates and creates and puts out scalar waves constantly. All right? So you don't need to cleanse or charge it. It's always doing this. All right. So it's a very, very special rock. It has profound things on water. It charges water and structures water. So it does, yeah, it naturally emanates and will actually generate scalar waves. And this is why, one reason why it works, because it addresses, for the water, for instance, because it's not a filter. People think that you put it in water and all the stuff's going into the rock, like it's filtering it or something, or sucking it up, the toxins and shit like that. That's not how it works. It works energetically. All right. Yeah, but that's enough on that. Now, moving on. So this stuff here, orgonite, is based on Wilhelm Reich's work. Now, a lot of people that don't really dive into the research, or whatever, a lot of people think that Wilhelm Reich made orgonite. That's not the case. That is a lie. People don't do their research. They think they do 5 minutes looking at the stuff and they know everything about it. I don't claim that I know everything about it, but I've found that so many times people think that Wilhelm Reich made this. That is not exactly true at all. This is based off his work though. Okay, so Wilhelm Reich found that by layering organic and inorganic materials, he did this in the form of a box, you can actually capture or attract and hold the orgone, life force, scalar energy, the consciousness energy, whatever you want to call it, chi, mana, prana, this energy, this beneficial energy, okay? It'll actually attract and accumulate and store, like concentrate it into the box. Now you can put plants in there, you can put people in there, you can put animals in there, you can put food in there, you can do whatever. And whatever's in there is going to receive benefits, okay? So if you're sick, not feeling well, you might have depression, you might have some illness, some disease. He found that people were getting better. Now, he wasn't charging any money to treat people. He didn't want any money in the way. He was just, I guess, working this stuff out, and he was trying to get his information, what he was discovering, out. But he got squashed by the FDA. Because once you realise that there's no money in healthy people, yeah, you know, so the FDA can't get any money off of this, really, because they cannot patent it, they can't make a drug out of it. Pharmaceutical companies, you know, that's actually running the show in health, and all they give you is a drug. They don't actually really cure anything. They manage disease, they manage stuff. Now, they have their place. They're really good at dealing with trauma, but doctors don't know a thing about healing the body, okay? So when this stuff comes about, of course, he's going to get squashed because of that reason. So there's things out there that can help us, and you do not need a doctor, okay? this isn't everyone's answer, but in today's world where everything's electric and everything's on smart technology and all these frequencies, we are not designed to even, you know, by nature, we're not designed to get bombarded with this. For a Wi-Fi router, for instance, it's very chaotic and it sends out pulses. Now that interferes with all of our cells, all right? Our bodies, cells communicate with each other to get the job done, to function this whole machine. There's a lot going on in here that we don't even know about. We haven't even discovered everything. But all the pulses stuff everything up. They can't communicate properly. And now this is true that our cells, it's been discovered that our cells do communicate with each other. It's like by radio waves sort of thing, like they send out signals. Now this man-made signal from Wi-Fi, for instance, 5G is a bad, even worse, but that interferes with everything. Now when you sleep, your body's trying to recover, you're healing, you're detoxing, you're doing everything that your body needs to do to keep you alive. Right? It's always processing, always doing things, cleaning, cleansing, whatever. It's doing it. So all this stuff, frequencies, it's interrupting that and your body can't do it properly, but this here can help you, okay? All right, let's move on. Now, copper coils also added benefits. The last couple of videos I've gone through the triskelion copper coil, so if you want to know about that, you can go ahead and just click the videos on our channel and you can see where I've done that. Put up a lot of information about that and how they actually work, and the measurement that we used, the 144 megahertz measurement and all that. So we'll move on from that. Now, yeah, I've gone over, like, if you can see the metal particles in any of your orgonite, you don't want to buy it, okay? If you're going to buy it for the way it looks as an ornamental, and it may be very weak at best, okay? So there's that. So what we're doing with this, I think I've touched on it before, we are creating a scalar field which creates quantum coherence for the chaotic man-made frequencies from cell phone towers, Wi-Fi and 5G and so on. So yeah, because this stuff creates a field in a pyramid, for instance, creates a localized scalar field and a vortex out the tip. These here are really good outside as well because they're going to clear like things like chemtrail, bring balance to weather. If you put a heap of these outside, or just say like 4 or 5 or whatever, like of this shape, you're going to see probably some weather changing. Like you might get severe winds, rains, or whatever. Chemtrails you may see clear out of the sky as well. You'll see them breaking apart, stuff like that. I did do a video on that as well, showing that. Just an observation, go ahead and check that out. Yeah, let's turn this off. Now, some of the materials we use, like I said, we do use fine stuff, okay? Fine stuff, there's more power in powders because there's way more surface area, and each thing for a crystal or a metal powder, for instance, they act on their own. So, as you can see, what I mean is in the tip here, you've got a terminated quartz crystal point, all right? That's one crystal. But when you got powders and crushed up and very, very fine small particles, nanosize in there, mixed all through this, suspended all through this, now you've got hundreds and thousands of little crystals all working as their own. Do you know what I mean? So although big crystals might be great and all, but I do believe that even if you don't need the big crystals, I think they mainly could be for show. They're obviously functional, especially in our piece, because like the resin really squeezes. But there's way more power, way more surface area that act as individual crystals, and you can get a lot more in there, creating more power, okay? It's all about the surface area. Now, using paramagnetic materials. Now, paramagnetic materials are very, very crucial as well, because paramagnetic materials actually, it picks up the Earth's resonance, like the Earth's magnetic field. It's very weak, it's subtle, but that's good because it actually amplifies it as well, like Earth's resonance. All right, actually amplifies it, picks it up. So paramagnetic materials, I don't know why I have a hard time saying that. Paramagnetic materials will pick it up and amplify it, the Earth's natural resonance, okay? Which is brilliant, because this here will actually also have a profound effect on water, structuring water. It's very gentle and subtle, and that is more beneficial, and it works way more better than just having an actual magnet. So if you had a glass of water, it's even going to have an effect on distilled water, but if you got minerals in it, not too many, you know, that's a whole nother video of the parts per million and all the rest of it. But just say you had the same water, let's just say rainwater or distilled water, pick a water, doesn't matter. If you had a cup of that water sitting on here, that is going to have more of an effect than if you had put it directly on a magnet, because of the paramagnetic materials. Now, paramagnetic, if you had a magnet, will actually stick to this, or stick to the pyramid, or stick to the pendant. If I had a magnet right now, I'd show you that. But yes, it does, because I've tested this, it does. And so that has more of an effect on structuring water than an actual magnet. Why this is, I don't know, but it might be because the Earth and its actual, you know, magnetic energy that it has, because this stuff picks it up, being paramagnetic and emanates it, it's just way more beneficial on the water. Now, we, the human body, you know, we're I think we're 70% water. I mean, give or take. Our body is mainly water, mostly water. Yeah. So if it's going to have a profound effect on water, what's it doing to our body? All right. I always recommend wearing a pendant, because paramagnetic stuff is picking up the Earth's natural energy. Now, what do you think that's going to do? Just that, knowing that, and the world we're living in with all the electronics, Wi-Fi, 5G, you can't go anywhere without getting bombarded with this stuff. Everyone's got their phones, and I do advise you to put it in flight mode every chance you get, but just to protect you as well. But picking up the Earth's energy, and you got man-made chaotic bullshit waves, that's going to balance it out. And then you got how orgonite actually is with organic and inorganic materials, that's going to balance it out. And then you got the crystals, so that's going to balance it out. The piezoelectric effect's going to amplify that. And then you got the shungite emanating scalar waves. And then you got the resin that is taking on all that energy. It's like being programmed within the resin. You can program it. When it cures, it sets. It's like when it's wet, it's like, you know, taking it up. When it's cured, it's set. Now it's like embedded within the resin. And then you've got specific copper coils and cut to certain lengths and measurements. All right. It all works together, creating such a powerful piece that you will receive benefits from. Now, people are sensitive to this stuff. Certain people are. Certain people can properly douse it, or test it in such a way, or they'll even just feel it. Like, they could enter a room and you can have some of this stuff and they not know that you've got it, and they'll be like, what's over there? Like, I can feel something. What's that? You know, we've had people tell us this. We've had people you know, in their testimonials or whatever, say you know, they've received it and they can already feel the energy as soon as they've got the box. You know, they can feel it emanate, and they've talked to us about sort of their healing with our orgonite. Okay, so you don't have to take my word for it. You can get some and just test it for yourself, or experience it for yourself and see if you like it or not. Like I said, some people are sensitive to this and they can pick it up and they can feel it. Other people, they go, don't feel a thing. Regardless, the way they work and understanding how they work with all these other energies and what it does for you, it's, even if you don't believe in it or you can't feel it, it's working all the time for you, regardless of what you think. It doesn't matter. It's how it's made. All right. Yeah, so that just about sums it up, actually. Now, I would have more to talk about, but I believe this video is gone on long enough. And yeah, so you can go ahead, click the link below, check out our orgonite. You can email us. You can request maybe a custom one for you, custom orgonite, whatever you want, depending on the materials we got, whatever. Yeah, I did touch on as well how I was saying to you before about if you want big metals, you don't want to buy it, but that's not what we're doing here. Like I was saying before, with that, you got all the brass little shavings. So functional glitter is what I call it. It does make it look better and more appealing, right? So that's just, it's all mixed in as well, but it's just mainly on the front to you know, make it look better, pop sort of thing on the back as well. With this particular one, you know, it's in the drink bottle as well up top, but then you can see it's how it's layered in this here as well. A little bit on top, a little bit in the middle. The reason why it's in the middle here, and these particular pyramids, is because there's actually another crystal grid in there. So in there you've got selenite crossed over, you've got black tourmaline, you've got hematite, and you've got another piece of quartz in the center.